So today I'm going to be starting something a bit different. I'm going to start my On Second Thought review series where once a week, I'll try once a week, no promises. Once a week, I'll try to review an old movie that I've already reviewed on my channel back in 2018, especially 2018. Not things recently within the last year or so, but just things that I reviewed within like the first 6 months of my channel that when I look back at them, I'm just like, those are shit. I'm not saying I'm excellent now, but I was a lot worse back then. There's videos with bad lighting, camera too zoomed in, like up to here, just bad, very bad. Too quick. I didn't do all the things I do now. I didn't have my intro or my outro, my slides that I use now, all kinds of stuff. And I can do a better job. I'm a lot more comfortable in front of the camera. So let's start this review series on second thought with Drive-Thru. And another thing that's going to be different with this series, these reviews, than my normal reviews is that I'm not going to do the whole pros and then cons and blah, blah, blah. I'm still going to do the awards. That's something I didn't do with some of these reviews. I didn't have those back then. So that's another reason why I'm going back. And another reason would be sometimes you get new subscribers and they don't go back to your old shit. They don't look up your old stuff. So my new subscribers probably don't even know that I've reviewed Drive-Thru. So now they can watch this review, which will probably be, hopefully, better than my last review, which was only like 9 minutes long. I could talk about this movie for an hour. So, yeah, multiple reasons why to re-review a movie. If you're a YouTuber, you'll probably understand. Because we all have that review where we look back on it and we're like, oh, I could have did a better job on that. So, let's do Drive-Thru. This is a guilty pleasure, nostalgia pick. This is one of my favorite clown movies ever. And in my other review, I said rent it on Redbox because I was being a little too hard on this movie. And even revisiting it now, it's still not a good movie. Like, the acting's bad, the editing's weird, the direction, lots of stuff isn't good about this movie, but I still love it. I was laughing my ass off, and I would say go out and buy it. So, yeah. This is one of those movies where, like, when I was in Hollywood Video, back when I was a thing, I would see this poster, and one day I rented it, and I just fell in love. I just adore Horny the Clown. This is one of those movies where if I won the lottery and I had all kinds of money, I would hunt down this costume in this movie. The meat cleaver that he uses, it's pimped out. It's not a normal meat cleaver. It's got like a flame design to it. I don't know, it just looks different. And I would get the mask. I adore this getup for Horny the Clown. So it's one of those like wish list, bucket list items that I just want it. Damn it, I want it. And this is a movie where there should have been a sequel. There should have been a sequel, but this is one of those overlooked movies that no one freaking knew about. Went straight to DVD in like 2006 or 7. This says 2006, but IMDb I think says 7. And in the movie it says class of 2005. So, but no one knew about this movie, and that's a shame because it's fun. And let's get into it. So, spoiler discussion. I don't think I said it earlier, but I'm not doing the pros and cons, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing a different setup for this series of reviews where I just get straight into it. Spoiler discussion only, and then I'll do the awards at the end. So, Drive-Thru. Let's talk about it. So this movie opens up with wiggers. I can say that because I'm white. And these guys are driving their Escalade. They go to the Hella Burger, and they're talking shit. I mean, there's a couple in the back seat. They have like no boundaries. They don't care. The chick's blowing him. Their friends up in the front seat. Just crazy. And the sound design, you hear like the suction. It's just funny. Everything about this movie is just funny. And I was just really having a good time. And then like Horny the Clown's talking shit to them like, ah, fuck your whore, wigger. And then they're like, what? And they go running in like their retaliation because he was talking shit, they're gonna go murder him. It's like, insult me, you get shot. And I just love how this guy, the way he's dressed up, everything is just over the top. His outfit, the way he walks, he holds the gun sideways. He's like freestyling to himself. Got a date with my nickel plate. And then they go inside. It's clearly closed. All the lights are off. There's no one inside, even though they just heard a voice on the like, intercom, whatever, the Drive-Thru thing. And they're not miffed about it, like, well, whatever. They see rats inside, and then boom, Horny the Clown comes out of the corner, gives hilarious punchlines throughout this entire movie. Like, he has so many punchlines. Order up, punk. Employee of the month's about to fuck you up. Throws him, and then the friend comes in. He has his face in a fry layer, and this is actually a pretty cool effect for the budget of this movie. It's not that big of a budget movie, but the face, the way it peels off, awesome. And then he gets killed. Another punchline. Sorry, homie, that's not gonna cut it. And then we meet our cast. We got Mackenzie, played by Leighton Meester, and you got Nicholas D'Agosto from Final Destination 5. And I found this funny. It's like there's these two like preppy kids in the jacuzzi, and she doesn't like them, so she goes up to them and she opens up these beers and like pours it on them, and then they get out of the jacuzzi acting all upset because they got wet. It's like all they had to do was go dunk themselves in the pool, wash off the beer, but instead they just get out of the water and walk off pissed off. It's like you could have just washed the beer off and you would have been fine. And then we get the typical, like, they find a Ouija board, they want to play with it. And then we get, like, something that is repeated throughout the movie, which is, like, these premonitions, these signs, kind of like a Final Destination movie, where Horny the Clown is, like, trying to tell them, like, give them clues as to who he's going to kill next. And it's always, like, a clue given, especially this one, when it's too late. Like, he's already killed those gangsters. So this license plate clue that he's doing on the Ouija board makes no sense. It does nothing. Not a single clue that's given to them helps them in the slightest. And then, like, when they're playing the Ouija board, it cuts back to the girls that were in that, Cadillac with the two gangsters. And instead of, like, going inside to the Helleberger to look for their idiotic gangster boyfriends, they fell asleep in the back seat waiting. They waited so long that they fell asleep. They never, like, thought to go inside. Like, hey, Tony, get the fuck back inside. I just couldn't believe that they actually fell asleep. And then, Horny kills one of them and kills the other one off camera. Surprisingly, there's a lot of, like, political talk in this movie. They, like, hammer home the fact that Kinsey is a liberal. They say it, like, in every other scene that's brought back up, how she's, like, a cliche, like, vegetarian, pro-climate, like everything that liberals are for. They established that with this character. She's a vegetarian, she's for this, she's for that, she hates this. And then, like, her dad is, like, a Republican. And then I think she even called us two in the jacuzzi Republicans. She's, like, banana Republicans. I don't know. She's very anti-Republican, and I never really noticed that before. You don't really get that in horror movies. They never bring up politics, and this is one of them. And then we get Cheese and Crackers, Detectives Chase and Crockers is freaking hysterical. I love his character. Everything he says is just hilarious. I was cracking up so much. Like, the first thing he says, the cops are talking about what was on the radio when they found the bodies. They're like, yeah, it was Highway to Hell. And then what does Crocker say? He says it so, like, confidently, like he's so sure that he's right. He's like, Highway to Hell, Styx, Paradise Theater, great album. It just reminds me of my dad. I mean, he's wrong. My dad would be right. He loves AC/DC. But my dad's that way. When he hears a song, he'll tell you who sings it, what the song is, what the album is, where that song is on, and what year it came out. So when he said that, it just immediately made me think of my dad. Except this guy is wrong. It is not Styx. It is AC/DC, which I feel like that would be common knowledge. Who doesn't know that AC/DC sings Highway to Hell? So, Cheese and Crackers, hilarious. And then the 8-Ball, again, something else. It's like a broken heart. Like, how the fuck is she supposed to decipher a clue like that to figure out who's the next target? And apparently, the broken heart, her friend got a tattoo of a broken heart on her, like, back, like a little tramp stamp. And then I like how when her friend dies, later on, she's at the police station talking about how, like, well, how do you explain the 8-Ball and the broken heart? She had a tattoo of a broken heart. How do you know that? She can't know that. She never saw it. Her phone conversation never went that far. She's like, I got a tattoo and I won't tell you. And then her friend died. She never got to see that tattoo. So, a little goof in the film that I noticed. And the way her friend dies with a microwave on her head, like, she couldn't walk up and, like, hit the buttons. Like, she has like the microwave on her head, there's a hole cut in the bottom, a bunch of chains on it holding it down, and I guess an extension cord because they're in the middle of a gymnasium. There's no outlet anywhere. So I guess a long extension cord maybe is what's powering it. But her friend runs up, Mackenzie, and I never saw her once like try to hit like an off button. She's just like banging on the top, like that will stop it. Such a dumb decision. It's like she wasn't even trying to save her friend. Her face is like bubbling up. It's a little like CGI, not that good looking. And her eyes like burst open. And then Lenny, who's played by Steve Wallen, I want to say that's his name, Steve Wallen, Whalen. He's in a lot of horror movies, so much to name. Where do I begin? Like The People Under the Stairs. Too much to name. But yeah, he's horror alumni at this point, and he's got the worst looking teeth ever. He finds her camera, gives it to her, and she's like, "Where did you find it?" And he's like, "You don't want to know." I kind of do. I'm kind of confused on where the camera went. And did he steal it? If so, why? And then we find his body. He hung himself. Did he really hang himself? Was that gator clogging up the toilet really that stressful of a job? Or did Horny the Clown kill him? And then we see like these impossible pics. Like Horny the Clown is supernatural. That's another interesting thing about this slasher is that, he's physical. Like you can touch him, he can touch you, and he can like he's running here and there, but then he like teleports because of the editing maybe. I don't know. Like I'm not sure what powers he has exactly, but he can do all kinds of crazy stuff. So he is supernatural, definitely. Like the pictures, they're impossible. Like the pictures of the dead bodies, the girls in the car, they're from like other characters' POVs. It's like that picture is not possible. Another thing about this movie that I would say is like a negative is the sound mixing. It goes from so soft to this hardcore metal soundtrack, and I like it. Don't get me wrong, it's badass, but they use it too much. It's like the only thing they got, and it's blaring. It like will break your eardrums if you like have headphones and you're listening to it. It just goes from like soft to boom. That song, man, it just blasts your ears. And then, so I like this in movies. It's just funny. I have to point it out when you see the crew reflection in people's shades. At this point, as a filmmaker, like why are they still putting shades in movies? You're just gonna see yourself. Like if I was to make a movie, I would make sure that nobody's ever wearing sunglasses because you can always see the cameraman, the guy holding the boom mic, everybody in the glasses, and it just makes me laugh. I have to point it out every time. Oh my gosh, the commercials for this franchise of this guy's Helleberger. I keep forgetting what it's called. Helleberger. Their commercials would not ever air in real life. Like they're so X-rated. You got these chicks like making out, and then they're in bikinis, and they pop open the bikinis, and then it like cuts away with like burgers instead of boobs or something like. That shit would never fly. We get this scene that I like this because you don't get this too often with like your final girls. Mackenzie, she's like, my 18th birthday is this weekend, and now there's a clown up trying to kill me, so I'm not gonna die a virgin, I'll be damned. So she bangs her boyfriend, like, fuck it, I'm not waiting. And then, like, another thing, like the Etch-a-Sketch, does nothing, doesn't save anybody, doesn't warn her. I like the insult, aber-zombie, and bitch. I use that one quite a bit. I will never understand this scene. So, we got the preppy couple, the blonde guy and the blonde girl, they're in the carnival ride, something out of like Child's Play 3. And they're not like in the line for the ride. They're like, it's like they stepped out of the cart at some point when it was going around and they just like hid somewhere and started fucking. But the way he's banging her, he's not thrusting, he's not moving his body, he's standing perfectly still and he's like moaning. Like it's implied like someone's blowing him down there, but then when the chick stands up, she's like pulling her pants up and she's like, "Damn it, Chad, I wanted you to wait for me." Like he was banging her in the ass or like from behind. That makes no sense. Was she blowing him? Why was her pants down and she's pulling her pants up? That scene makes no sense. How was he banging her without moving? Was she like pushing her? Just the visual of that is hilarious. Like her like because he's not moving. He's not thrusting against her. So what? She was down there like doing all the work. He just had to stand still like a statue and get laid that way. What a lazy piece of shit. And then we get this guy from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. He's the guy in the bookstore who goes crazy on Loomis. I noticed him. And then we find out that the parents are all responsible. We get like this Nightmare on Elm Street plot where because he's supernatural too, that's another thing that kind of has in common, except it's not the dreams, but the parents are responsible for lighting Horny the Clown on fire because they hated him because he was a geek. Typical. Let's pick on the geek, let's accidentally kill him, and then never say a word about it. And then he goes and kills their kids later on instead of the parents. So very Nightmare on Elm Street-esque. And then I get another little premonition, the toy that says, like, see you at 420, helps nothing. And these dipshits are outside the Helleberger and they're spray painting and doing graffiti during the day, like at night, but still, like, there's workers inside, there's probably cars driving by, just committing crimes in the open. No biggie. Like Matthew McConaughey would say in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4, like, ain't no fucking biggie. It's still my favorite line. I love that line. That movie fucking is terrible, but that line I will always remember. Fast food kills, fucker. So then, yeah, the fun space scene, I love this scene, and we get a couple of, like, we get the guy from Super Size Me. He's like the cashier guy, and he's like trying to be like an action hero, sliding across the desk like it's the hood of a car, falls on his ass. More comedy. So they're in the fun space, and this guy is urinating on the wall in kids' toys. Fuck him. He deserves to die. And then Horny the Clown comes up. Someone say pork chop. I love that kill. It's like a huge fake ass prop in his head. Looks fake as hell, but I love it. Still a great kill.
Did someone say pork?
And then more weird editing. Like every time you see Horny the Clown, he's always like slow motion walking or fast forwarding towards them. And then he drops like 2 lines from The Shining, at least 3 actually, one later on. He says, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in. I'm going to bash them right the fuck in. What was the other one? Oh, yeah, after he kills him, he's like, all work and no play makes Horny a dull boy. So lots of influences in this movie, clearly. So then they decide to go to the mansion where Archie is, the dad of Horny the Clown, and I like that the one stoner guy, he's like in Rambo war paint, and to prepare for this like battle, he brings like a plastic steak instead of a wooden steak, and garlic, and a picture of Jesus Christ, as if that's gonna help him. He's like, I gotta come prepared, and the chick's like, let's split up, and he's like, fuck that. Smart. But then they do split up, so stupid. And then, oh my gosh, so in that like flashback where the mom's telling the story, and she's like, it's all our fault, and it's like, yeah, it is, because you clearly still could have saved him. When Archie like falls over and he like gets knocked out somehow, and the birthday cake falls over and the candles like lighten the table on fire, she's like standing on the outside, looking in, seeing that fire start to build, and it's not even that big of a fire yet. She had plenty of time to go run around and tell her friends like, hey, come back inside, there's a fire about to build. Like, they could have saved him so easily. So it's definitely like 1000% their fault that he died. Or did he die? I don't know. He's supernatural, so I'm going to guess he did die, and now he's like a supernatural being. So we find Star's body in the freezer. She got chopped up, and she's got chopped broccoli on top of her. This death doesn't look that good when he gets chopped in half. It's like a green screen, like the background is probably like a still image, and he's like walking, and he falls over, and then all his guts like spill out. It doesn't look that good, but it's still gory. And I like that the shirt like got chopped too, and like falls to like around his ankles. You got a lot of guts, kid. And then we get like another Shining reference when he's like chopping down the door. He's like, little pigs, let me come in. It's been a while since I've seen The Shining, but I'm pretty sure Jack says that, right? I know he says like, here's Johnny, but I think he says that too. So that might be the 3rd reference to The Shining. And then another movie that this one's trying to like pay homage to or flat out rip off is Happy Birthday to Me. He's got to kill Mackenzie on her birthday, even though a few days earlier he was trying to kill her at the school. Kind of like Scream, where they're like, we want to kill you last. Well, then why were you attacking Sydney in the bathroom? Makes no sense. What if you killed her? But yeah, he's got this whole like birthday thing set up, all the dead bodies around the table, and they're like not dummies or anything. They're the actual like cast people, the actors, and their eyes are blinking. They can't I don't blame them. I can't keep my eyes open for that long. It's just funny to see dead bodies' eyes blink. And the one girl who got her head microwaved, her head doesn't look that bad. It just looks like her eyes kind of burst open, but her face isn't like bubbly or anything like it should have been. And then, like, he possesses Fisher. That's another weird thing they kind of throw in here, is that he can possess people now. That just seems even further fetched. That seems far fetched. Like, they just throw that in here to set up a sequel, but it just doesn't feel necessary. Like, you could have just had Horny the Clown come back instead of Fisher, and it's confusing because at the end of this, it's kind of like implied that it's both. But who is it? Is it really both? It's like maybe it's Fisher, or maybe Horny didn't die because after he gets lit on fire, later on the cops are like, his body's missing. So it's like, well, what are we trying to do here? What's this ending supposed to be? Is it supposed to be the body's missing, he's still out there, or is it the new Horny the Clown and Fisher? I wish they just would have chose one. It just doesn't really make that much sense. I don't really know what to think of that, because obviously Fisher's possessed and supernatural, because it's implied that he jumped out his window and he's like 5-6 stories up. It's like, there's no fucking way. There's no ladder. There's no way he made that jump without dying and splatting on the ground. So he is supernatural. But yeah, this whole thing with like her like putting the alcohol in her mouth, and she's drenched in gasoline, mind you. And he puts like the candle right next to her face, and then she blows the liquor out and like only torches Horny's face. It would have gotten her too. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way that she did not get lit on fire. There's a weird moment where Horny the Clown's breaking the fourth wall. He just stares at the screen as he's like talking to Mackenzie. It makes no sense. It's another weird decision by the director that I just do not get, and I am not behind it. I don't like that. And then his outfit clearly changes when he's on fire. It's like a whole new suit. And so then, yeah, I love this ending. Like, besides the confusion, like, who is it? Is it Fisher? Is it Horny? I love this ending. I just love to see Crockers, an amazing character, get it. He's ordering all kinds of food. He thinks he saw something. Horny's walking by in slow motion, just all those weird slow motion shots. And then all of a sudden, on the speakerphone, Horny the Clown's like, he says something, and he's like, "What'd you say?" He's like, "I said, do you want to die, fat ass?" And then he lands, he's like, "What the hell?" And then he lands on the hood, gives one last final line, like, "Have a hell of a nice night," as he like chops at the camera. Great ending. Great final line. Just an awesome, like, just something to leave the movie with. It leaves you with a smile on your face. It's a great final line. I don't care what anyone says. This movie's fucking hysterical. It's hilarious. So let's go over my awards, shall we? So the best kill in this movie is Chad, the dumbass Abercrombie and bitch guy who gets his head chopped off. It is awesome looking. And then the worst kill is the BJ chick at the beginning who gets killed off camera. The best shot in this movie is the shot of Horny the Clown emerging from the shadows, kind of like a reference to Halloween, the original. And the best scene in this movie is the Fun Space Massacre, or could you call it that? 2 people die. I'm not sure what qualifies as a massacre, but these 2 guys getting what they deserve. This is my favorite scene. And the Hockey Mask Award for Best Character is Crockers. Every line he delivered was funny. The way he walked, the way he talked, everything. I love this character. And the Mr. Hinkie Award for Worst Character will be the blonde stoner guy pissing on the wall. What an asshole. I'm so glad he got it. And the hottest chick in this movie is Mackenzie, played by Leighton Meester. She is stunning. And the Funny Bone Award for the funniest moment in this movie is the introduction to Crockers, when he's talking about AC/DC and Styx and confusing them. So those are my thoughts on Drive-Thru. What did you think about this movie? Put all your thoughts up in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button, share it with all your friends, and you can become a Patreon for as little as $1 a month to request movie reviews like this. And you can become a subscriber if you haven't done so already, just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.